As you've seen, the council chamber was filled to capacity with protesters demanding the council members resign. So people who could not get inside protested outside City Hall.
And it was a diverse crowd that rallied, calling for change and for unity between the Black and Latino communities. KCAL 9's Jeff Nguyen is live in downtown LA with more on the City Hall protesters and their demands. Jeff?
In fact, Juan and Leslie, there were several demonstrations outside LA City Hall. Much of it involved anger directed at the racist comments, but there were also continuous calls for unity between Black and Latino communities.
If we don't get it,
for a couple of hours, demonstrators shut down Main Street in front of LA City Hall to condemn former council president Nury Martinez and council members Kevin DeLeon and Gil Cedillo for racist comments in a leaked recording.
so I would love to see Cedillo, Martinez, and DeLeon resign immediately.
The line went out the door for people who wanted to speak during the city council meeting, including the leader of a labor union.
Many of them Oaxacan, indigenous immigrants, many of them African-American, and all of them impacted by the racism and the hatred expressed by these three city council leaders.
I see a lot of little short, dark people.
Yeah, puro Oaxacan Koreans.
The recordings also include comments that are viewed as elitist towards Oaxacans who often feel underserved.
During the COVID pandemic, it was very well seen that we were not included in the conversations. Indigenous people were not thought about. There's no services for indigenous people.
Even in a city that's predominantly Democrat, it's hard to find anyone who doesn't condemn the three council members.
I'm a conservative Republican. I am deeply concerned about the institutional racism that is taking place, particularly in City Hall. And I'm out here demonstrating against exactly that type of thing.
Black and brown!
That's because generations of work have been done to try to heal the racial divides that have since been reopened.
Here as the community, we need to say black and brown unity is what's needed. It takes unity to build community, and together we will be the example the city needs.
It is important to note that the demonstrations were completely peaceful. A few officers were called in only to help redirect traffic during that brief road closure. We are live in downtown Los Angeles. Jeff Nguyen, KCAL 9 News.
All right, Jeff, thank you. Stay with KCAL 9 News and CBS 2 for the latest on the LA City Council controversy. And don't forget, we're streaming 24/7 on CBS News Los Angeles.
We're streaming live now on fox11.com as protesters are disrupting the LA City Council meeting happening right now. Let's listen in. Now, this council meeting was scheduled to begin at 10 o'clock this morning. There you see, sitting at the head of that council meeting is the acting city council president, currently Mitch O'Farrell from District 13. He is now taking the place of former city council president Nury Martinez, who stepped down in the midst of the revelations of these leaked audio recordings where Martinez, fellow council members Kevin DeLeon and Gil Cedillo, as well as labor leader Ron Herrera, were heard saying racist remarks, disparaging, outrageous comments about other colleagues, specifically their colleague Mike Bonin's adopted son, who is only 2 years old, also making racially disparaging remarks about other Hispanics and Latinos in the city of Los Angeles as well. And since those recordings were leaked on Sunday, Nury Martinez did step down as city council president, and as of today released another statement saying that she is going to take a leave of absence to focus on talking to her constituents, to her family, and take time right now as this matter plays out. That is the latest information we have at this point. But there you see protesters filling the chambers of LA City Hall right there as this council council meeting is trying to get underway with now the new acting city council president, Mitch O'Farrell, at the head of that meeting. Now, this has been one of the most difficult times, according to Nury Martinez's statement. She says, "This has been one of the most difficult times of my life, and I recognize this is entirely of my own making. At this moment, I need to take a leave of absence and take some time to have an honest and heartfelt conversation with my family, my constituents, and community leaders. I'm so sorry to the residents of my council, District 6, my colleagues, and the city of Los Angeles." Let's listen in to this meeting for right now. Not one more day. It's difficult to see with everybody standing up there, but we did see inside those council chambers that council member Mike Bonin is in attendance. He is there at the meeting. Obviously, he was the one where a lot of these racial comments were directed to him and his adopted son, who was only 2 years old at the time. Again, this recording that was released was taking place a year ago. So this audio from a year ago talking disparagingly with racist remarks against his adoptive 2-year-old son. Let's listen in again. We have Mario Ramirez standing by live outside City Hall right now with more protesters that are gathered in light of this meeting. Mario, what are you seeing there?
Hi, Sandra. So we are just outside City Hall, and you can see the line stretches around the corner here down to Temple. And these are people, frustrated residents, many of them, who are not being allowed inside the council meeting. There's a live band here playing, and they're chanting, "Let us in, let us in." So I want to talk to some of the people here in line. Sir, tell me, why are you here today? Why'd you show up?
Because this is a terrible tragedy that has polarized the LA community across the board like I haven't seen in the last 40 years. And the situation has become explosive. And if we're not careful, a spark can set off this city and blow it up. And I'm very concerned as a Latino citizen that we have to slow this process down.
Yeah, were you trying to get into the meeting, surprised that you're not able to go in?
We've been here since approximately 7:30. The doors are locked, and they will not let us in. We want to see what's going on there. We want to ask the African-American members of the City Council to tell us, as colleagues of the Latino Council members, what's their view? What proceeds here? Do they need to all go, yes or no? And I think that we should defer to their opinion, because we value the opinion, and I think it's their place to take a firm position live so that we can all hear about it.
All right, thank you so much, sir. So earlier this morning, we heard during a news conference, we heard from local leaders, local pastors, as well as community members of the Asian American, LGBTQ community, and many of them were frustrated at the news that, Nury Martinez was taking a quote-unquote leave of absence. They say that is just not enough, and they're frustrated. They demand more action. So let me talk to you, ma'am. Where are you coming from, and why are you in line today?
I work in Los Angeles. I'm I'm a member of SEIU Local 721, and I'm also a mental health worker, and I live in Inglewood, but I work in Los Angeles, and I'm here to call for the resignation of Kevin DeLeon, Nury Martinez, and Gil Cedillo, but mainly a lot of the city council members for the racist and bigoted comments that have been made by the city council and the racist remarks and policies enacted by the city council.
All right, now we can see the line here stretching almost around the corner. Are you surprised to see this many people show up?
Absolutely not. the attacks that have been made have been called out. Basically, the entire working class of Los Angeles, black people, indigenous people, Latino people, Armenians, Jews. They've been attacking basically the entire working class, making fun of us, mocking us, trying to humiliate us. Well, guess what? We are empowered and we are united to say that these people do not represent us, and we want a city council that represents the interests of the working class of Los Angeles, and we will fight to make that so.
All right, thanks for talking to us. And earlier at that news conference, we did hear from the SEIU 721
member of
Vice
SEIU
President.
Local 721. I'm a member of SEIU Local 721. I'm an essential worker. I worked during the pandemic. I'm a proud member, and I will fight to make our city council represent the interests of the working class.
I appreciate that. So the passion here, Sandra, is real. Again, dozens of residents frustrated trying to get into City Hall, but not the case, not a go right now, as the council chambers, as you know, are full at the moment. Sandra, back to you.
And this illustrates not only the passion, Mario, but the outrage that this has sparked citywide, crossing racial lines, as you mentioned, from Asian Americans, Latino Americans, Black Americans, all gathering there to denounce what they heard on those leaked audio tapes. And obviously the outrage that it really has impacted so many communities when you have top elected officials making these types of comments. These are elected officials that voters voted into office, that are supposed to be serving their constituents, and not only their constituents, but the city of Los Angeles. And it's no wonder that we see so many people coming out to the city council meeting to try to get their voices heard, and obviously the growing chorus of people from all walks across racial lines denouncing these three council members, as well as calling for their immediate resignation. So as you mentioned, the line is growing around City Hall right now. A lot of public members wanting to get into that city council meeting. Obviously, it is packed inside. There is a capacity issue. Of course, intense interest in what is going to happen at this meeting, what is going to be said. And of course, we do see on the screen right there the acting City Council President Mitch O'Farrell talking to his aides, obviously trying to get this meeting underway, but it is going to be a very difficult situation. And also to see, at this point, we have not yet seen any of the council members in question. Gil Cedillo, DeLeon, and of course we are doubtful to see Nury Martinez show up because of the fact she did issue her current statement this morning saying she is taking a leave of absence from her district office. So let's listen in to the council meeting that's about to get underway.
Good morning, and welcome to your Los Angeles City Council. Good morning. There are a lot of people here that need to be heard today. A lot of people have come to this chamber because they need to be heard. Let's listen to the folks who came who need to be heard today. Let's listen to the folks who spent the time to come here today, who need to be heard, who deserve to be heard, who have the right to have their voices heard today. That's why we're here today. We're going to hear from members of the public. We want to hear from you. Let's respect the folks who have come here today to be heard.
All right, there you have Acting City Council President Mitch O'Farrell from District 13 trying to get this meeting underway. This is a City Council meeting, the first one since this scandal broke out. City Hall obviously going through a very tough time with City Council members Nury Martinez, DeLeon, and Gil Cedillo, all caught on this leaked video recording, spurring racial, disparaging remarks against one of their colleagues, as well as his family members and many, many different communities throughout the city. So obviously, this is sparking outrage among communities all across the city. Many protesters have gathered here inside the City Council chambers. They are denouncing these City Council members, asking them, calling on them to resign immediately. And here you have it. They cannot even start this meeting that was scheduled to begin 30 minutes ago. Let's listen in. When you saw Acting City Council President Mitch O'Farrell step down for a second, it looks like he is talking to fellow City Council member Mike Bonin. Obviously, Mike Bonin is the person that a lot of these racially disparaging comments were made against, as well as his family. He is there in attendance. Let's listen in right now.
Could I please ask for the opportunity for this meeting to begin so that we can speak and that you can speak to the issue that has brought you all here?
There you see Councilmember Mike Bonin. Obviously, he was one of the people disparaged against, his family members severely disparaged against in these leaked recordings. He is trying to address this group of protesters here, obviously wanting to get their voices heard at the City Council meeting. He is trying to calm them down so that the meeting can begin. So in a turn, the president of the City Council, the acting one, Mitch O'Farrell, turning the mic over to Councilmember Mike Bonin to try to get the protesters to take their seats so this meeting can begin. It is working very slowly And there you see a live look outside City Hall where protesters are sitting on the ground. They are lined up around City Hall, all wanting to come in to attend this meeting to make their voices heard and to denounce the racially disparaging comments they heard on that leaked recording that has sparked outrage across the city.
Please let us call the roll. I would like to speak.
No! Don't let us call the roll! No! Don't let us call the roll!
Quick.
Shut it down. Hey, I called City Hall. Period. I'm the first one. Yeah. Hey, you want to go outside? You want to go outside? I'm not going
As we wait for this meeting to begin, obviously protesters are still demanding to be heard, despite the fact Councilmember Mike Bonin urging them to try to quiet down for the time being so that this meeting could get underway, just in fact to take roll. But obviously this is not working at this point. It's unclear, it's very difficult to see from the camera angles who is actually in attendance at the City Council meeting. Obviously, Gil Cedillo and Kevin DeLeon are the members that these protesters want to have resign immediately. It's unclear what will happen at this meeting. We know that Nury Martinez is not there. She has issued a statement saying that she is taking a leave of absence. But the chorus of fellow council members as well as members of the public growing louder, growing stronger. Other council members saying that their colleagues, DeLeon and Cedillo and Martinez, should resign, include Marquise Harris-Dawson, Corinne Price, Councilmember Joe Buscaino as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this body, this legislative body of lawmakers, will continue to go forward at this point with it so divided and definitely tense in terms of the camaraderie and the fact that these council districts do represent many members of the public and they have to work together. So what happens at this meeting is crucial in terms of what will happen for these districts, for these voters, and for the residents of LA City. So again, council members trying to get this meeting underway, but protesters have filled city council chambers. They are calling for the immediate resignation of Nury Martinez, Gil Cedillo, and Kevin DeLeon. We heard from Mike Bonin, the council member who these racially disparaging comments were made towards, and he, in fact, could not quiet down this group, all riled up, obviously with passion, with outrage over the racial remarks that they heard these lawmakers make in a private recording taped a year ago but released on Sunday. And again, you see outside City Hall as well, protesters lined up around the block there, sitting down as well, calling for the immediate resignation of these council members, as well as they want to get into the city council chambers, which is at capacity at this point. They want to have public comment in order to make their their voices heard, to get their message out that they do not respect lawmakers speaking in this fashion and obviously the comments that were made. But again, it's very difficult to see from this vantage point, from the camera angles we're seeing because of the crowd, who in fact is in attendance in terms of the lawmakers here inside City Council chambers. Let's listen in to what the crowd is chanting right now. There you see. All right, there you see for the first time from this vantage point, Kevin DeLeon, City Council member from District 14. His voice was caught on these recordings, making racially disparaging remarks. He is, in fact, inside City Council chambers at this moment. He said something to the acting City Council President, Mitch O'Farrell. It looked like he just went to the back and left the City Council chambers. Let's hear if Mitch O'Farrell will address this. Of course, Mitch O'Farrell stepping in for Nury Martinez, who stepped down as City Council President.
Let's allow the people who came here to give their voice to this issue the moment to speak. That is what we're here for today. People came here to say a few words, and let's give them the respect that they deserve in order to express themselves. We will hear every single public comment today. Everyone who filled out a card will be heard today.
All right, it looks like City Council President Mitch O'Farrell is trying to get this meeting in order. Moments ago, we saw Kevin DeLeon leaving the City Council chambers, or at least discussing something with O'Farrell.
We are going to have a meeting today. It will happen. Now, it can happen with everyone in the room. It can happen with everyone in the room, or we can have a meeting without any of you in the room. We're going to have a meeting. We are going to have a meeting today. We're going to have a meeting today. We want to hear from everyone who has filled out a speaker card today. And we will. We don't want to put you out. This is your house, and we want to hear from you. But we have to do this and let everyone have a chance to speak.
To get this meeting underway and listen in, let's go back outside City Hall, where Mario Ramirez is standing by with a long line of protesters. Mario?
Yeah, Sandra, and this right now is a traditional Mexican band. They've been playing out here as part of the protest, and what you see has become somewhat of a sit-down protest. These people were all waiting in line here outside of City Hall. Once they realized that they were not going to get inside to the chambers like they had planned, they decided to come out here in the middle of the intersection and sit right in the middle of the crosswalk. This is at Main Street between First and Temple, and if you look this way, we'll show you, you can't see it right now, but there was traffic turning around, reversing here. So this is causing somewhat of a disruption here this morning in front of City Hall. I want to talk to somebody who's sitting here front and center. What's your name and where are you from, sir?
I'm from South Los Angeles. My name is James Harris.
James, why did you decide to come out here? You're front and center this morning.
Well, I'm outraged that we've been operating with these people that have been making these decisions from a racist standpoint, right? And so it explains a lot of stuff that's been going on in my community, right? Because it's not just about what they said in that back room, but we got to look at how they've been awarding contracts. We got to look at how they've been deploying policy, and see that's been impacting my community. So that's why I'm down here. I'm appalled.
Yeah, we can definitely feel the frustration. We've talked to people who say if nothing changes, they're going to come back out. Where do you stand on that?
I'll be here with them. Yeah, they got to go. Period. You know, it's we thought we moved past this. You can see I'm an older gentleman, so I've been doing this for a while, but it just keeps coming, it just keeps coming. We haven't quite figured out how to cut this head off, but they got to go.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate you talking to us. And can I ask you a question? Is that all right? So you're here sitting here at the intersection. Your shirt says "Stop Evictions." I know earlier they were chanting "Housing is a human right." Why are you out here today?
Well, we're here because the whole housing tenant community has been trusting in the council to make the right decisions. And in the last few months, we thought that these council members were going to extend the moratorium and protect tenants across the city. Landlords have received a whole lot of help, but tenants haven't received anything. Recently, they closed the moratorium. And what we're realizing is that instead of protecting and worrying about the poor of Los Angeles, our city council is involving a racist campaign and a racist battle that is actually dividing our communities. The city council members, Kevin DeLeon, Gil Cedillo, Nury Martinez, instead of helping the community, are attacking people of color, are attacking the poor, and then disrespecting the people of Los Angeles.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. So they have just said that they're taking a moment of silence here. Again, this is a sit-in protest here at Main Street between First and Temple. Again, this was a line of people that were waiting to get into LA City Council chambers. They just held a moment of silence here, and we're standing by to see exactly how this develops. But as you heard Sandra, so many of them frustrated, and on top of that, they couldn't get into the council chambers this morning. So they're even more agitated, getting louder out here as well.
Let us proceed.
Thank you, Mario, for that.
Let us proceed with
we
this
are going to take a look inside City Council chambers right now. You have Acting President Mitch O'Farrell addressing protesters who have filled the council chambers, saying that this meeting will go on with or without you. Let's listen to Council Member Mike Bonnet.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. I really do not want to be here today. I want to be home with my family right now. I am, but I want to say a few words. I am still trying to wrap my head around everything that was said and everything that is happening. My husband and I are both raw and angry and heartbroken and sick for our family and for Los Angeles. And as an Angelino, like most Angelinos, I am reeling from the revelations of what these people said. Trusted servants who voiced hate and bile. Public officials are supposed to call us to our highest selves. And these people stabbed us and shot us and cut the spirit of Los Angeles. It gave a beatdown to the heart and the soul of this city. But before anything else in the world, I'm a dad. And I'm a dad who loves his son in ways that words cannot capture. And I take a lot of hits, and hell, I know I practically invite a bunch of them. But my son, man, that makes my soul bleed, and it makes my temper burn, and I know I'm not alone, because Los Angeles has spoken, and it feels the same way. When the LA Times called me on Saturday, I was out of town and I was away from my family. And the reporter summarized some of what was on the tapes. And my first instinct as a father was to implore them, don't run the story, or at least be vague. Please say made racist remarks about my son, but I didn't want to see the specifics in print. I didn't want him to have to hear them or read them someday. And I also knew that the tapes contained much more, learned even more in the past couple of days, much more than the comments about my son. And as the white father of a black child, you stumble and you fuck up, and you try to do your best to be a parent and an ally. And I get it wrong a lot, I get it right sometimes. I knew that I did not want this story about virulent anti-black racism to be centered on an angry white dad. And you know, I was afraid this was going to be in the California section. It's been in international news. You know, these words, they cut and they stung. You know, I know that I can never really know or comprehend or feel the weight of the daily relentless racism, anti-black racism that my son is going to face. But man, I know the fire that you feel when someone tries to destroy black boy joy. Man, it's a rage. And you know, my husband and I were both raised at a time when, as gay men, we didn't think that we would be married, or that we would be allowed to have kids, or that we'd be allowed to have a family, because our relationships and our families were considered illegitimate. And a lot of what on these tapes stung. But over the past 2 days, I've heard about a lot more than me and my family. I've heard about attacks on the Oaxacan community. I've heard the homophobic tropes. I've heard anti-Semitic remarks. I've heard incredible coordinated efforts to disenfranchise blacks and renters and to weaken the voice of progressives, and to undermine anyone who tries to do coalition building. And it's overwhelming, and I am outraged, and I'm sickened by it. Now, there are a lot of people who are now asking for forgiveness, and asking for forgiveness is a good first step, but, well, it's a second step, because first you must resign and then ask for forgiveness. But let me be clear. People should not ask me for forgiveness, because I can't forgive them, because it's not my prerogative. It's the prerogative of a boy who is too young to really understand what the hell is going on. And when he's older, maybe when he's in high school, you can seek his forgiveness. In the meantime, people that love him are going to try to help him understand. When a schoolmate mentions something, or when a well-meaning stranger approaches us on the street to say how horrified they are by what happened, or And it kills us to know this is going to happen a lot sooner than we like when he does a Google search and he reads the actual words that were said. You know, and it's not my place to forgive the slurs and the treatment of the Oaxacan community or the API community or the Jewish community. It's not my place to forgive the coded comments against the gay community or to forgive the overwhelming, casual, joyful anti-black raceness of the entire conversation. And it's not my place to forgive that coordinated effort to disenfranchise all these communities and all these people. Now, don't get me wrong, I want to be able to forgive the offenses against me and my family, and I want to lead with love and generosity and model the world we need to create, and I promise you I'll try. But to do so, first today I need to focus on love. I need to focus my mind and my heart and my family's attention on all those who have shown kindness and love to my wounded and hurting family. I especially want to thank Marquise and Isaac Bryan and Karen Bass and Melina Abdullah and all of the parents of black and brown babies who have reached out with a focus not on me, but on my son. And I want to thank all of the other LGBTQ parents who reached out. Those people know how to put families first. I want to thank Mayor Garcetti and Nithya and Eunices and Ugo for their friendship and for their love and for their moral support. It has meant more than I can say, but from so many others, literally thousands of people from around the world. And I want to thank everybody who has reacted with fury and indignation. I am, on these tapes, I have heard the worst of what Los Angeles is. From you, I am hearing and I'm seeing what the best of Los Angeles is. This city is strong, and this city has a very big heart. And Los Angeles is going to heal. We can be, with a lot of work, a city where our reality matches our aspirations. We need to be a city that doesn't just issue a statement of indignation over something like this, but does the work to make sure that no little black boy, no young Latina, no kid anywhere hears this, and that no community feels disenfranchised and disempowered. I'm almost done. That work is never done, and it is always renewing. It's daily. There was moments with the Tom Bradley Coalition where that was real. There were moments in the multiracial coalition that elected Antonio Villaraigosa where that promise was there. In Karen and in Marquise and in Nithya and in Ulysses and in Isaac and in Ugo, I see the incredible promise of that coming in Los Angeles, a powerful, heart-led, multiracial crop of young progressives who are determined to build coalitions. The power is there, and the heart is there, and the fortitude is there. And I have more than hope in the pain and all of this. I have more than hope. I have faith that that can happen. Thank you.
Mike, thank you for your courage. Thank you for expressing your sorrow. We share it with you, Mike, and you can tell in this chamber you are surrounded by people who are here for you, who are here for Sean, who are here for Jacob. We must carry on so people can be heard. Today is Tuesday, October the 11th. We'll pause for as long as we need to. We'll pause for as long as we need to. Colleagues, yesterday, colleagues, yesterday we celebrated our 5th All right, seeing as we're not going to be able to proceed with what we're seeing right now, I will have to call a recess. We'll start this meeting again once we're able to regain order in the chambers. So we're on recess and we'll start this meeting until we regain order in the chambers. Streffen?
All right, there you heard some remarkable, powerful words from City Council member Mike Bonin, but not only that, from a father of a young adopted black boy who says that he never wants to have his son listen, read, or hear the words that were spoken from Nury Martinez, Gil Cedillo, Kevin DeLeon, recorded on those audio tapes taken a year ago, released this weekend, and obviously making a major impact in terms of the racial anger that you're hearing and the outrage surrounding the tapes that were released. Let's go to Phil Schuman right now. He is inside City Council chambers after hearing that very powerful statement, Phil, from Mike Bonin. Your heart just goes out to him as a father, as a parent, and also just as somebody who was a target of such disparaging and outrageous behavior and vocabulary and statements coming from a city leader. Phil.
Sandra, this has just been a remarkable morning here in downtown Los Angeles. City Hall is surrounded outside by protesters. Inside, they're at capacity. Police are guarding the doors. You see the scene behind me. They've actually shouted down President Pro Tem Mitch O'Farrell, who came to the microphone, as you saw, after Mike Bonin, and they're probably taking a recess right now until they can restore order. I mean, Sandra, you watched it live. I mean, 15, 20 minutes in tears. This will be one of the most historic and significant days in our lifetime in Los Angeles and in Southern California. There's no question about that.
Absolutely. I am just looking at some of the remarks that he was saying, and obviously we hope to play back some of Councilmember Mike Bonin's emotional, raw, and obviously heartbreaking words that you mentioned, that you witnessed right there in the City Council chambers. But Bonin saying that he still feels raw, that he's angry, heartbroken, and sick from hearing that recording. Obviously, he says that he's a father first, and when he heard such disparaging racial remarks towards his 2-year-old son, he says that the fire you feel when someone tries to destroy black boy joy just never goes away. The words cut, they stung, he says, and he is saying that this really stabbed, shot, and cut the spirit of Los Angeles. But in all that, Phil, he still says that there is hope, that he still has faith that the city can come together and heal, but not before. The city has a lot of work to do, and he did call for the resignation of his colleagues who were involved in that tape.
Well, that's right. He said forgiveness and apologies are a good first step, but beyond that, they have to resign. And you told us earlier this morning that Nury Martinez, the city council president, yesterday she resigned the presidency post, which is something that she's elected to by her fellow council members, and that today the news that she's taken a leave of absence from City Hall. It would be surprising if she and DeLeon and Cedillo did not ultimately resign, whether that's today or some point in the future. And then Bonin also talked about forgiveness. He says it's not really his prerogative to forgive. He said it's really up to his young son when he's old enough to understand what's happened here. I mean, this is just, I've never seen anything like this. We've had protests at City Hall. We've had issues with crowds getting out of control, getting unruly, but everybody was quiet and listening to every word that Mike Bonin said. Remember, Mike Bonin resigned his city council post. In part, he said, to spend more time with his family, and it's the subject of a hotly contested race covering the West Side. We've covered, of course, the stories about the homelessness in Venice and Westchester and other areas, and Bonin has been vilified by many for his policies when it comes to dealing with the homeless, progressive policies, which are part of his DNA, if you will. But everyone in this city council chamber seems to be feeling a bit of Mike Bonin's pain right now. And what's interesting is they won't let anyone else speak. Like Mitch O'Farrell is trying to bring some kind of control here, but the drums are beating, people are screaming, the police are ringing the council horseshoe. So we're just going to stand by and see what happens, Sandra.
There's a lot to get to, Phil, obviously, but yes, besides all the politics, whatever happened in his district up to this point, this definitely cuts much deeper, and obviously it has divided many people, constituents, racial lines, and this is just such a dark, dark moment in the city's history, as you mentioned, and you are watching history unfold right now as the city council takes a recess in order to be able to conduct their meeting today. Outside City Hall, you still have protesters gathering, sitting down in the street, blocking traffic to make sure their voices, their message is heard. And we'll have much more throughout the day, of course, on Fox 11 at 5 o'clock. Join us then.
This is what community looks like. This is what community looks like.
Whether from the city of Los Angeles or elsewhere, the inflammatory words on that leaked audio sent people streaming to LA City Hall on this first meeting since the leaked audio came out over the weekend.
A spark can set off this city and blow it up. And I'm very concerned as a Latino citizen that we have to slow this process down.
The message so clear from labor unions.
There's no room for racism in City Hall, in the labor movement, or in our communities.
From religious and community leaders.
They need to step down today. We will keep the pressure. We will unite. We will walk on the streets like we've done before.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, that racist council's got to go.
There were protesters who sat on the street outside City Hall to dramatize their point.
Yeah, I'm appalled. They gotta go. Period.
Inside, council members Krikorian, Bonin, O'Farrell, Price, and Rahman felt much like the protesters outside on the street, introducing a motion asking council members Martinez, DeLeon, and Cedillo to step down. But it's not actionable. It's more of a statement. Removing the council members against their will requires a recall election. To some of these demonstrators and community leaders, the work that's been done to bring communities of color together has been undermined by this crisis at City Hall.
We've done a lot of work to bring black and brown folks together.
That's right.
We've done a lot of work not just to bring folks together, but to bring folks together not within the context of false unity, but in real unity where we address injustices in each of our communities respectively.
Besides the word resign, the other word we heard here today was community and unity, trying to get people back together again. But as some told me, this is really, this whole situation, taking away their trust of government, and it's going to take some time to get it all back again. Alex, Christine, back to you.
We have Mario Ramirez standing by live outside City Hall right now with more protesters that are gathered in light of this meeting. Mario, what are you seeing there?
Hi, Sandra. So we are just outside City Hall, and you can see the line stretches around the corner here down to Temple. And these are people, frustrated residents, many of them, who are not being allowed inside the council meeting. There's a live band here playing, and they're chanting, "Let us in, let us in." So I want to talk to some of the people here in line. Sir, tell me, why are you here today? Why'd you show up?
Because this is a terrible tragedy that has polarized the LA community across the board like I haven't seen in the last 40 years. And the situation has become explosive. And if we're not careful, a spark can set off this city and blow it up. And I'm very concerned as a Latino citizen that we have to slow this process down.
Yeah, were you trying to get into the meeting, surprised that you're not able to go in?
We've been here since approximately 7:30. The doors are locked and they will not let us in. We want to see what's going on there. We want to ask the African-American members of the City Council to tell us, as colleagues of the Latino Council members, what's their view? What proceeds here? Do they need to all go, yes or no? And I think that we should defer to their opinion, because we value the opinion, and I think it's their place to take a firm position live so that we can all hear about it.
All right, thank you so much, sir. So earlier this morning, we heard during a news conference, we heard from local leaders, local pastors, as well as community members of the Asian American, LGBTQ community, and many of them were frustrated at the news that Nury Martinez was taking a quote-unquote leave of absence. They say that is just not enough, and they're frustrated. They demand more action. So let me talk to you, ma'am. Where are you coming from, and why are you in line today?
I work in Los Angeles. I'm a member of SEIU Local 721, and I'm also a mental health worker, and I live in Inglewood, but I work in Los Angeles, and I'm here to call for the resignation of DeLeon, Nury Martinez, and Gil Cedillo, but mainly a lot of the city council members for the racist and bigoted comments that have been made by the city council and the racist remarks and policies enacted by the city council.
All right, now we can see the line here stretching almost around the corner. Are you surprised to see this many people show up?
Absolutely not. The attacks that have been made have been called out, basically the entire working class of Los Angeles. Black people, indigenous people, Latino people, Armenians, Jews. They've been attacking basically the entire working class, making fun of us, mocking us, trying to humiliate us. Well, guess what? We are empowered and we are united to say that these people do not represent us, and we want a city council that represents the interests of the working class of Los Angeles, and we will fight to make that so.
All right, thanks for talking to us. And earlier at that news conference, we did hear from the SEIU 721
member of
Vice
SEIU
President.
Local 721. I'm a member of SEIU Local 721. I'm an essential worker. I worked during the pandemic. I'm a proud member, and I will fight to make our city council represent the interests of the working class.
I appreciate that. So the passion here, Sandra, is real. Again, dozens of residents frustrated trying to get into City Hall, but not the case, not a go right now, as the council chambers, as you know, are full at the moment. Sandra, back to you.